All right, guys, it's week 11. Here we go. Frankly, fantasy football has it going on for you today. We're going to be talking about news and notes. We're going to be looking at a Thursday night football preview. We're always going to do our hit its and quit its for the week. But today, guys, we're talking about trade targets. Who do you want to trade for? Who do you want to trade away based on matchups coming up the rest of the year? And guys, 4 weeks left for the playoffs. Playoffs are almost here, baby. Let's go. All right. Welcome to the show. This is the Frankly Fantasy Football Podcast. We are your hosts, Frankie and Johnny. Welcome in, my brother. How are you, man?
Doing well, Johnny boy. How are you doing, man? What we do live it?
Hey, we've got 4 weeks left until the playoffs start. I can't believe it. How you looking? You looking strong in your leagues here, man? You gonna make it?
Let me, just do a little shoulder shrug. You know what I mean, Johnny? It has been one, tough ass year, but let me tell you, baby, I'm in the top in all the leagues so far. I'm at least in playoff contention in every single league, in all 5 of them. So doing well, man. Making some trades, making it happen. Tossing it over to you. How you feeling, man, heading into the playoffs?
I really wish you weren't going to toss it over to me, actually. I kind of wanted to skip this. I've had the most difficult fantasy football year I've ever had, and it's mainly because of injury. Sometimes you just can't overcome these injuries. Yeah. I've got 2 leagues where I just can't do a whole lot just based on what I've lost. When you lose that much, you can't trade and you can't upgrade your team. It's very difficult. I do have 2 teams that I think I'm in contention here for and looking and feeling good, man. And I'm going to make the right moves coming up. And we're going to talk about some of those moves today, man. Let's go.
Oh, yeah. Let's do it. And Johnny, before we dive in, whoa, your background's changed again. You were in Vegas last week. Mm-hmm. Where are you at this week?
God, I don't even remember anymore. Sometimes I forget where I am, man. I am in Nashville, actually. So home of the Tennessee Titans. Yeah, man. There's nothing more relaxing and getting you in the mood for the holiday season than spending 5 days in Vegas and then leaving there and spending 5 days in Nashville.
Nice.
This episode is brought to you by Liver Cleanse, everyone. Yeah,
by Liver Cleanse in Hilton. You can have your Liver Cleanse in Hilton.
That's right. A lot of liquid IVs in Johnny's body this past week, yeah. Leaving here and I'll be in Cleveland. So yeah, great cities, man. I love visiting these cities. Love doing the podcast from cities too. It's always a new hotel room. Wi-Fi is always a little iffy. You never know what's going to happen there. Seems like we're in good shape here though. So thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Thank you so much for following us on social media. We're everywhere, guys. Follow us everywhere. Social media, TikTok, Instagram, X, YouTube, Shorts, everything, baby. Frankly, fantasy football. And please follow us, watch on YouTube. Thank you so much for all the comments and all the fantasy start, sit questions. Frankie's just banging those out every week, man. So keep sending those to us. We love you. All right, man. You ready to get to the news?
Let's do it, baby.
Let's do the news, baby.
News and notes.
All right, before we get to the news, everybody, I've got some news for you. Thrilled to announce our partnership with BetStamp and Sign Up Expert. This opens up an incredible opportunity for you guys to join some of our favorite sports books. Listen, listen to us talk every week about DraftKings and putting some bets out there and all these different things. Guys, this is an opportunity for you to go on using our code to sign up for a new sports book. There's a lot of sports books out there. You sign up for a new one, you're going to get some bonuses, you're going to get some bonus bets, and you're going to give the Frankly Fantasy Football Podcast a little love as well. So make sure you go to our dedicated page, signupexpert.com/Frankly. It's also listed right here on the podcast. You can also find it in the description as well. But this is going to give you a new selection of sportsbook tailored to your region, what's legal, what's allowed, each with unique offerings. Take advantage of these offerings, guys. If you place a $20 bet at least using our promo code, we get a little love back too, and we greatly appreciate it. It allows us to keep doing this for you guys and keep putting out funny and good content. So please join us, signupexpert.com/Frankly. All right, let's get into the news here, man. Let's see how it is. I don't think I'm pulling the bell out today. I don't think it's been too bad. We do have one, though, here. Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott is officially done for the year with hamstring. He's going to have hamstring surgery. All right, he's gone. This team has been struggling. Frankie, what do we do with this Cowboys team that just seems like a shit show right now?
It's going to be raw. Guys, let's just call it what it is. Number one, if you're playing in Jerry's world, not only are you having to worry about the offensive issues, apparently the sun shining through is also causing issues. So
Amateur hour, man.
Amateur hour. I mean, what is going on? But I mean, seriously, man. I mean, you got maybe Rico Dowdle you can plug out there. I mean, he seems to be doing something to give you a floor. Maybe Ferguson, right, as a guy that can kind of be a good streaming option if you can. And then, I mean, if CeeDee Lamb's, unfortunately, guys, you're still going to have to roll out CeeDee Lamb. You're just going to have to temper expectations. So for me, John, if you have any of the Dallas Cowboys, you're kind of in a hell/a purgatory.
Yeah, I mean, I said to sit Rico Dowdle last week, which absolutely paid off. 12 for 53, struggled.
Yep.
And it was exactly what I said was going to happen. They were one-dimensional as hell. The quarterback play is bad. I mean, how many times did we see Cooper Rush and Trey Lance come in and out? I mean, they couldn't even decide on who was actually going to play in the game. It's a shit show. I don't see it getting a lot better. But don't freak out about Dowdle. The way his schedule is coming out, Houston this week will be tough, but he's got Washington, the Giants, Cincinnati, Carolina, Tampa Bay. Really good schedule. So don't freak out about Dowdle. There are going to be some days ahead, assuming they can get some sort of competent pass game going on. So here we go. But CeeDee Lamb news, that's not good, baby. All right, Sam Laporta, tight end for the Detroit Lions, left the game with a shoulder injury. He's day-to-day. Coach said that he's optimistic, but he can't make that call yet. I think it's very likely he misses this week, so keep an eye on that, but it shouldn't be a long-term deal. Aaron Jones, running back for the Minnesota Vikings. This one scared the shit out of me. I thought I was going to get killed again. Carted off the field with a chest injury. He ended up coming back in. So now this week, watch the practice reports. It's just about pain tolerance, but he should be good to go and is greatly needed. If you are the Aaron Jones owner, you must pick up Cam Akers. He is the clear backup, and he could be used if something happens again with Aaron Jones. Chris Olave, wide receiver for the New Orleans Saints, is placed on IR. I don't anticipate you being able to use him at all this year. If you've got him, you could consider dropping him. There is a possibility he could be back towards your playoffs, towards your Super Bowl. Don't know that that's going to be happening this year. So if you need the bench space, I think you'd be able to get rid of him if you had to. Trevor Lawrence, quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's killing us, Frankie. It's killing us in our Battle of the Brands League. Just as he was starting to put together some good fantasy weeks, getting some good volume out there, I think he's done, brother. I think he's done.
Yeah.
He's got an AC joint sprain. They're weighing out the options right now, which do include surgery, and that would end his season. So it's not looking good on Trevor Lawrence. Keep an eye out for news because I know you're going to need that bench spot if he is going to be out. Brian Robinson Jr., running back for the Washington Manders, still dealing with a hamstring injury. Limited practice on the Monday walkthrough. The problem is, Frankie, is that they play on Thursday.
Yep.
Short practice week. You're going to have to pay attention to see what happens there. What are you doing with this backfield if he plays? And what are you doing with the backfield if he doesn't play? Are you all over Eckler this week, or is it a little too scary?
All over Eckler this week if B-Rob does not play. If both play, you have to temper expectation. I'm still looking to start up Eckler in probably super deep leagues, 12, 14 man, especially with the bye weeks, which we'll hit on here in a bit. But and Eckler could absolutely be a serviceable guy to plug and play. The issue is that you got to temper expectation if B-Rob is in, because then they'll be splitting the workload. And honestly, B-Rob will probably get more of the lion's share than that of Eckler. But if he doesn't play, John, you fire up Eckler and you just, let it rock.
All right, Najee Harris, running back for the Pittsburgh Steelers, dealing with a mild ankle issue. Going to have to monitor the practice reports here. We did see Jaylen Warren come back. We did see Jaylen Warren get some play. He still has some juice there.
Yeah.
But the problem is they're playing Baltimore this week, man. Baltimore allows the fewest rushing yards per game. Are you firing up Jaylen Warren if Najee does not play?
Oh, it's so tough, man. I'm going to, it depends on roster construction, guys. I'm going to lean towards no, knowing this defensive front, knowing how good they have been outside of 1 or 2 games for the rushing perspective. But the difference between Najee and Jalen is that the receiving end. I mean, Jalen Warren can absolutely get involved in the receiving perspective, much more than that of Najee has been outside of that year with Big Ben in his rookie year. But man, it's tough. I'm going to err on the side of no and probably look elsewhere for this week.
All right, we got some good news coming up here, man. Nico Collins.
Uh-oh.
Nico the Freako. Here we go.
Uh-oh.
He should play this week, barring any setbacks. So pay attention to that. But man, are you going to be excited to get him back in your lineup? Excellent. Not as good of news here for T. Higgins, wide receiver for the Bengals. Didn't practice at all last week. He could play this week, but you're going to have to watch the practice reports here. It is very possible they let him sit again. I believe they have a bye week next week as well. So they could sit him through the bye. But T. Higgins not going to play potentially. Keep an eye on that. If he does not play, you could look at Mike Gesicki. If he does play, you cannot start Mike Gesicki. Do you agree with that?
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree with that.
All right. Amari Cooper, this is another guy we're dying to get on the field and actually see him play a healthy full game with these Buffalo Bills. We really haven't seen that yet. He's still dealing with a wrist issue. He could play this week against Kansas City. Not a great matchup. But again, just like the Bengals, they've got a bye next week. So it's very likely they could sit Amari Cooper, depending on how he does in practice, to bring him back, give an extra week of rest, bring him back the next week. So pay attention to Amari Cooper this week. I know I will be. Dalton Kincaid, tight end for the Buffalo Bills, left the game with a knee injury. Now, there's not any really word on this. We record this on Tuesday. Tests are still coming, but the injury experts I've looked at are speculating that it could be a mild PCL strain. Tests are coming out again this week, but if he's out, pay attention to this because Dawson Knox is a great start if he is out. With Amari Cooper potentially being out, Keon Coleman's been banged up. If Dawson Knox is alone in this tight end game, you have to start him. All right, Mike Evans. Ooh, this would be really nice here. Mike Evans should be set to return after the Week 11 bye. So they're on bye this week. Everything looks good. I love the quotes coming out from Mike Evans that, man, I mean, Baker Mayfield has just inspired this team. It's so great to see.
Awesome.
Did you see, by the way, let's talk about Baker for a second. Did you see the stiff arm?
Unbelievable.
Like a tear almost came to my eye, man, because it just showed everything we loved about Baker being a Cleveland Browns fan. That's what it was. That's exactly what it was. Yes. And he fires up his team, man. I just love it.
I mean, what a brilliant call, too. I forget the announcers that were on it, but we're like, can you believe this? He's stiff arming him for 4 yards. And guys, if you didn't see it, he's stiff arming Bosa.
Nick Bosa. Yeah.
For 4 yards.
One of the meanest motherfuckers in the league, man.
I mean, he's looking to destroy Baker, like literally, like rip his arm out of socket. And Baker still threw it for a 7-yard pickup or something like that.
It was a first down. I mean, yeah, it was a first down pickup.
I mean, top tier Baker, man. God, I love that guy.
It was so good. Mike Evans' quote was that, he can't wait to get back on the field to support Baker, and to be there to help him win games. I mean, that's what you want to hear out of a stud like Big Mike, talking about his quarterback. So that's awesome. Hopefully Mike Evans is looking to be back then after the bye this week. All right, another guy we've got that might be coming back soon here, Frankie, Isaiah Pacheco, running back for the Kansas City Chiefs. I know. I've got him in 3 of my 4 leagues, Frankie. That's how I started this year off, by losing Isaiah Pacheco. He is looking to be designated to return off IR this week, which means it opens his 21-day window. So I don't expect that he'll be playing this week, but it is going to be soon is what things are looking like. So keep an eye on that. Will be great to get him back in the lineup. Last piece of news here, DK Metcalf, my boy. Welcome back, baby. He's going to be practicing this week and should play. So you should be able to get DK Metcalf back this week. All right, last piece of news we got here. We got some buys this week, guys. Week 11. Just as we thought, it could not get more difficult, right, Frankie? We've got the Cardinals, we've got the Panthers, we've got the Giants, and we've got the Buccaneers all on bye in Week 11. All right, Frankie, let's do something a little different here this episode. I feel everybody's trade deadlines are coming up here. We've got people planning for the playoffs. You've got some guys sitting there that are maybe 8-2 or 7-3 or Hell, it could be undefeated if you're an absolute stud or you're in a cheese ball league. But if you're in one of those positions, you're one of the top tier guys, you want to start planning for the playoffs. We've got 4 weeks, including this week, until the playoffs start. So don't wait too long. If you've got bench space, if you've got an opportunity to make some trades, to look at guys, maybe it's an even trade, a guy that you necessarily wouldn't trade, but the schedule looks great. So if you can plan ahead for this, maybe you can avoid a bye coming up. There are week 14 buys. So look at this. Let's take advantage of these last couple of days. However your trade deadline is set up, it's probably coming up here in the next week or two. So let's pay attention to this. So let's look at some teams, Frankie. I'm going to say some teams here, and I want you to give me some ideas. We're going to be trading for some players on these teams. I want you to talk to me a little bit about it. I'm going to start with the Arizona Cardinals, who absolutely blew me away this past week. I can't even believe what happened. I will tell you when I'm right. I was right on Rico Dowdle to sit him. I said to sit Kyler Murray, and damn it, I was wrong. I knew I was going to take it with one of those guys, and it was Kyler. I mean, who knew that the Jets defense was going to be that shitty?
Completely imploded. Looked like dog shit. The Jets are a dumpster fire right now. And so, John, when you think about Arizona and viewers and listeners, this is why you need to be targeting this particular team for assets for your team. They played the New England Patriots, and this is weeks from week 15 to week 17. So we're looking for the entirety of your playoff push. They play the Patriots, they play the Panthers, and they play the Rams. Okay, that's a really good schedule. And so when you look at some of the players, guys, the first one that comes, it's really jumping out is James Conner. Right now, he's currently sitting as the RB 9.5 PPR. He's definitely somebody that you could end up packaging together. Maybe it's a middle of the road running back. That's still a running back number 2. I'm talking about middle of the road being the running back 10 through 20. And then you end up throwing in another receiver on top, especially during the bye week this week, right? Because we talked about Arizona having a bye week for week 11. Guys, now is the time to buy an Arizona Cardinal. These teams that are trying to make a playoff push need assets or players to plug into their team, and now is the time. So you definitely are targeting James Conner. The other few guys, Marvelous Marv, right? Marvin Harrison Jr. Certainly it hasn't been all glory and beautiful and rainbows the entire season. Sure, he's been a rookie, but he is sitting at receiver 15 right now in half PPR, and with that schedule, could be real sweet for you, man, especially in a flex spot. John, the other two here that you really should try to target is going to be Trey McBride, currently sitting as the tight end 30. If you can get him, get him. And then Kyler Murray, man. At first, I was hesitant to say that because, Kyler's kind of up and down, especially towards the end of the year. He hasn't really been able to put it together. And then on top of it, COD comes out. We all know Kyler's a nut job about Call of Duty, right? But what I can tell you is what he put together over the last 3 weeks, especially against the Jets, he dominated them after getting destroyed. John, I don't know if you saw that hit by Quincy Williams, the linebacker off the edge.
Knocked his damn head off. Literally.
I thought he was dead. I thought he was dead. I thought that was his head.
I was going to say, I thought that was his actual head that flew off. His helmet flew off. His hair's off. Fuck.
I mean, it was nuts. It was nuts. And then for him to get back up and put up 30-plus points was incredible. So for me, guys, if you're looking at some of those tough matchups down the road, target some of these Arizona Cardinals.
Absolutely. And don't forget, the important thing Frankie said here, they're on a bye this week.
On bye.
So if you can take a guy who can be on a bye, you can, plug in somebody, or you can even take the loss because your record's excellent. These guys might be on a team that needs to win now. You might be able to get them at a discount. So that's why we're saying that. All right, Frankie, let's look at another team here. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, man. They've got a decent schedule coming up. Week 16 at the Chargers. That one's going to be tough. But we've got, week 15 at the Chargers. Week 16, we're at Dallas. And week 17, home versus Carolina. Who do you want on this team, man?
Oh, John, this one's great. You're truly looking at, you calling it Big Mike. I love that. Let's call him Big Mike from here on out. He's definitely a guy that you need to be targeting. Again, with it being a bye week, and yes, he's been banged up. There are certain fantasy managers that are either going to be upset, they're going to be annoyed, or they just don't want to deal with it. you need to be one that wants to deal with it. Right now, what we're seeing with Godwin down and the stretch that they have, and Baker's playing top tier, guys, Mike Evans needs to be at the top of your list for a trade for candidate. The other two.
Real quick
Go
about
ahead.
Big Mike. How many years do we need to see Mike Evans score multiple touchdowns in your fucking playoffs or your Super Bowl for you to take it seriously? It is set up perfectly for that once again. He's going to be an absolute target monster when he gets back on the field. And here's the nice thing about it, is that these owners have not had Mike Williams for quite a while. He's been on their IR, and certainly their bench is filled with players they're trying to back up. Once Mike Evans is activated and no longer eligible for the IR, these teams may not want to drop somebody. So now could be a really good opportunity to make a trade for him. So do it.
Love it. John, the other two that you really need to be honed in on for the Buccaneers to trade for, number one is Cade Otton. Cade Otton has been nothing short of a godsend for that of Baker Mayfield. Guys, if you think back to some of the key plays and key players that Baker Mayfield has really gelled with, a lot of it has been with obviously the top receiving threat, but then it's been the tight end. He loves a quality tight end, and Cade Otton right now is number 4 in fantasy football. Guys, Cade Otton is number 4, and I don't see it slowing down. Nobody else has been stepping up to help. When Mike Evans went down, and then obviously Chris Godwin, guys, I mean, we haven't seen Trey Palmer. We haven't seen some of these other guys. I mean, sparingly, sure, but not consistent. Cade Otton has been that. Trade for him. Lock down that tight end spot for your playoff push. John,
real quick,
go ahead.
Cade Otton, this is a guy you should trade for because there's zero name value in this guy at all.
Good call.
Chances are they've got another tight end they're playing. He is on a bye, so they're not going to want to sit through here. They may not even realize he's the tight end 4. He's averaging 9 points a game. He's one spot ahead of Travis Kelce. Take the names away, guys, and just look at the schedule. Look at what they've done. Cade Otton's one of those gems, I think. Trade for him.
John, love that call out. The name value, guys. It's not necessarily there for a lot of people. Love that. And John, the last item here, or the last player, is Bucky Irving. Not Rashad White, not Sean Tucker. Bucky Irving. He right
looks
now
good.
He's looking so good, man. He's the number 25 RB running back in half PPR. But here's why I like him, guys, especially from last week against a top-tier defense in San Francisco. He ran for 73 yards on just 13 carries and ended up catching 3 of receptions on 3 targets, and that was for 14 yards. So, guys, when they need him most, he's stepping up. Rashad White is kind of falling into this, almost Swiss Army knife type of role for them. Sometimes he's doing the running. Sometimes he's a third down back. What we're seeing is the consistency from Bucky Irving. So if you have running back issues, if you have some of these other guys that we're going to talk about that maybe you're looking to trade away, trade for Bucky Irving because of the matchups coming down.
He passed the eyeball test so well. When he got the ball, that's what we always talk about. You got juice. Do running backs have the juice? Bucky Irving is the definition of juice, man. When he got the ball, he's doing spin moves. He's constantly moving forward. He just looked great. Yeah, so with the matchups they have coming up, again, being on a bye week this week, somebody may not be able to sustain him on their bench. Trade for him. All right, Frankie, let's look at another team here. We're going to talk about the Raiders. This is not a team we're going to talk about very much and very often, but there is some hope here for a few guys on the Raiders. Don't sleep on some of these guys. They're home against the Falcons and the Jags, and then week 17 at New Orleans. So we've got some good matchups here. Who do you want to trade for, Frankie?
There's 2 guys. Listen up. Get ready.
And just 2. There's no one else.
Just 2. Literally 2, and go get them. Number 1 is the number 1 tight end in fantasy football, and he's a rookie. And his name is Brock the Badass Bowers, baby. And he's just been unreal this year, guys. I don't really even know if we need to go into detail on him. Long story short, he's their go-to guy. He's been pretty much everything just about in their passing attack outside of one other guy, which we're going to talk about here in just a second. But he's truly been incredible, especially what a rookie is doing for a team. So go get Brock Bowers. Certainly you're going to have to pay more. Let's level set expectation. If I'm looking at Cade Otton and I'm looking at Brock Bowers, I am going to go for Cade Otton first because I don't think that I'm going to have to give up as much. Versus Brock Bowers, He's not only been a rookie highlight, people have done rookie reviews on him, shout out us, and we definitely called that out. And in addition, he has truly held the number one spot from the tight end perspective, borderline all year. So he definitely has name value. So that's what I'm saying. But if you can get him, go after him and get him. John, the other guy is the other guy catching passes. We're talking Jacoby Myers, okay? This is it, guys. This is the two. Jacoby is literally ranked 35 right now in half PPR. But since week 3, he's had no less than 7 targets a game. And in the last 3 weeks, John, this is what's been really cool. He's been receiver 35, he's been receiver 22, and he's been receiver 17. He's gotten better every week in the last 3 weeks. So for me, guys, looking down the stretch, big picture here, if you want a team that's playing against the Falcons and you want a team that's playing against the Jags for your Super Bowl, and you're looking for a great flex piece, I'm not talking about a receiver 2 that you need to spend a shit ton of money on or a lot of players on or whatever it may be to make that piece happen. You can get Jacoby Myers for much cheaper. And so for that reason, look to grab Jacoby this week.
All right, let's take a look at some teams that have some difficult matchups here. Some guys you may want to trade away for some of the players we just talked about. Kansas City. I can't believe we're saying that, man. Kansas City at Cleveland, home versus Houston, and then at Pittsburgh. Ooh, that's a rough one on your Super Bowl, isn't it? All right, what are we doing with these guys, man? What do you want to do?
John, I mean, you got everybody, you have to look at who's going to be the top impacted players. That's the best way to look at this. Certainly Patrick Mahomes. Guys, Patrick Mahomes has been miserable this year. Like, let's just put it on the table. He has not been what we've seen from Patrick Mahomes. If you can, and this is crazy, but bear with me because I like being crazy. I might even do something like trying to get Kyler Murray and selling off Patty Mahomes, right? I might try to do something along those lines. I might try to get one of those top 5 guys. Maybe it's a Jalen Hurts, right? And you can package up Patrick Mahomes because of that beautiful name value coming off a decent week. And then you can layer on an additional flex piece, and now you significantly upgrade that quarterback spot. That is what I'm looking to do, okay? You might need to sell Patrick Mahomes. But John, for me, man, the biggest one to sell, and this might be something that might be a little bit of a hot button for people, is Kareem Hunt. The reality is Kareem Hunt has been sensational, not just good, not just, oh yeah, you can plug him in with the bye week. I am talking sensational since he has been with the Chiefs outside of the very, very first game. And so for me, man, knowing Pacheco, he's coming back, guys. Like, it's not like, oh, he may come back, he may not come back. No, he's coming back, whether it's this week or next. He'll be back in the next few weeks. And so for me, now you're looking at a split, right? And going into your playoff, going into your Super Bowl, the last thing you want is your RB2 split in time, 50% with an absolute superstar in Pacheco. So guys, right now, this week, try to sell Kareem Hunt. The reason being, I mentioned Pacheco. I mentioned the tough, Johnny, you mentioned the tough playoff schedule. But then again, guys, it's also that you can get top value for him this week before he starts playing with Pacheco. And then now the value drops because, people start realizing, hey, he's splitting time. So guys, sell Kareem Hunt this week.
Yeah, certainly. If you can't do it this week, and we're going to talk about him because I do like him a lot this week.
Yeah.
But if you don't trade him by next week, it will be over. The news is going to be all over the place about Pacheco coming in, and you're just not going to get nearly as much value. Try to take advantage of the people who don't listen to this, that don't know that Pacheco's coming back soon, and I would try to trade him as soon as you can. Exactly. All right, Frankie, anybody else here on this Kansas City team you're looking to move?
John, you could look to move Worthy. The reality is, though, you're going to have to wait for Worthy to have a solid game. As soon as he has a good game, if it's now or next week, again, whatever your trade deadline is, some people have told me it's after this week, week 11, like literally Monday night, it's done. It's over with. Or some people's it's week 12, right? Which would be great. But you're kind of hoping for Worthy to have a big game this week, and then you need to sell him immediately. That's the only way you're going to get value from him, especially with D-Hop. Now, the other two, as I mentioned, D-Hop and then Kelsey, could certainly look to sell both. I'm leaning towards not selling Kelsey just because of the value that he's probably to your team, and there's not that much of an increase unless you're trying to go for a Brock Bowers and things of that nature. Sure, you could look to package together Kelsey and maybe one other piece. But for me, I'm still probably sticking with Kels, but I might end up shipping off D-Hop and trying to get a little bit more of a consistent piece. Maybe you're looking at a Juwan Jennings. Maybe you're looking at somebody like that to where, ooh, I can see a little bit more consistency. But again, D-Hop's one of those ones that you got to feel it out because he just had a monster week. And could that be the trajectory of D-Hop? And then you're kind of selling him at a wrong time? Really depends. So for me, I'm a little bit iffy on both those guys, but Worthy for sure if he has a big game, and then definitely Kareem and probably Patty Mahomes, man.
Let me tell you a little secret of what I would do with Kelsey. If you could package Kelsey and get Cade Otton and a flex piece, I would do it. Cade Otton,
I like that.
Cade Otton is ahead of Kelsey right now. He's ranked 4. Kelsey's 5. Cade Otton's schedule looks great. Kelsey's is going to be rough. You got the name value. I think if you can get another playable piece just from the name of Travis Kelce, you might be able to do that. Give it a shot. All right, let's look at the Steelers here, Frankie. The Steelers play at Philly, at the Ravens, and then home at Kansas City. Wow, what a freaking tough schedule to end the season here. Really rough. All right, who are you going to try to trade?
Guys, first and foremost, Najee and Jalen Warren. Listen, did you hear those 3 teams? I mean, you're going against Jalen Carter. You're going against the Ravens front, which is just dominant, as you mentioned, literally number 1 in the NFL. And then you got Chris Jones and that defensive front with, what is it? It's Karolithis or whatever, the other defensive end alongside Chris Jones for Kansas City. Guys, that is really brutal. Not just kind of, that's really rough. So for me, you got to be looking to package together Najee with somebody else or Jalen Warren, somebody else. You might even be able to get to do a 1-for-1. John, call me crazy. I'm offering Najee Harris for Bucky Irving straight up. And if somebody wants to take that, I'm all taking that. And I know you're hesitant because we always talk about committees. And right now, you might look at the Buccaneers as, it's kind of a committee. I don't think it is. To the level of what it's being described, technically, you could kind of look then at the Steelers with Jalen Warren kind of being more of a committee now. So for me, guys, if you can do a 1-for-1 with that, or if you can upgrade that position or another flex piece, sell. Those are guys that are having horrifying matchups for your playoff and Super Bowl push.
Najee Harris is the running back 23. Bucky Irving is the running back 25. Najee Harris is averaging 1 fantasy point more than Bucky Irving. Didn't feel like that was the case, and that is the truth, but that is the absolute truth. And when you're looking at the matchups coming up, it much more favors Bucky Irving. So great call.
Much more. John, another guy here is definitely going to be George Pickens. Now, I get it. This one's way harder of a sell. I understand because with Russ, it's invigorated him quite a bit. But here's the deal, guys. When you start looking at some of the points and things like that, George Pickens right now is the 18th receiver in half PPR. And over the last 2 weeks alone, he's had 5 targets and 7 targets. So that's 5 targets in week 8, 7 targets in week 10. He had 4 catches in week 8. He had 5 catches in week 10. But again, he's doing a lot with those catches. He's averaging 18.5 yards a catch in week 8 and 18.2 in week 10. So what is that telling me? Guys, that's telling me he has immense value right now. Now to level set, I'm on the fence with trading him just because the way some of my team's constructed, I like where George Pickens is sitting. However, if you have the capability, if you're in an 8-man league or you're in a 10-man league, shit, I'm looking to flip that. I'm absolutely looking, try to grab maybe like a Terry McLaurin, right? Or somebody like that, just to give you a slight edge there because Washington has a much more favorable matchup down the stretch for you. And yeah, you might need to throw in an additional piece, but just to give you something to sink your teeth in, that would be the caliber of a person that I would be looking to flip George Pickens for and a piece to flip to get like a Terry McLaurin-esque. John, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I do love George Pickens. I mean, just seeing what he's done and what the addition of Mike Williams and how Russ has been playing, even in these tough matchups, they have to rely on George Pickens. They're going to have to. And he's always open. Even if he's blanketed, it doesn't matter. The guy, I mean, did you see? And everybody's been seeing these catches he's making. So the reason I would try to trade him is to see if I can get a bit of a haul. See if I can fill another void. Maybe you trade another receiver and you can get an upgrade at your tight end spot, or you can upgrade if you're streaming quarterbacks. That's the only way I would do it, only because he's played really well. He's been on the highlights nonstop on NFL Network. People are seeing this stuff So you might be able to do it because of the hype, but make sure you're getting a haul for it. Otherwise, hold on to Pickens because I think he's going to be just fine. All right, Frankie, go ahead, man.
I was just going to say, the last two guys that you probably want to think about is Russ and Freiermuth. At this point, there's probably not a value in either, so I wouldn't really be tripping out about it. But maybe somebody has a quarterback issue. Maybe they had Trevor Lawrence and the waiver wire is really thin. Things like that, sure. You could look to flip Russ, get another piece, play the waiver wire game, pick up Bo Nix, and do your thing, something along those lines. But really, the big ones, man, that I wanted to call out was definitely Najee and Warren and maybe Pickens.
All right, let's look at Houston Texans here. Week 16 and 17, they're going to be tough. Kansas City on the road and then Baltimore. Week 15 could be nice with Miami, but, I mean, we just saw Miami put a beat down last night on the Rams. So, we'll know what to expect there. All right, Houston Texans, it's been an up and down season. Their record is good, but for fantasy purposes, CJ Stroud's been a little brutal, man. What are we looking at here for the Houston Texans? Who are you trying to move off this team?
I'm 100% trying to move CJ Stroud. Guys, it is, Johnny, you nailed it. He's number 19 and a half PPR right now. He's 133 points. And what that means is just to name a couple of guys that have been doing better than him, which again, you got to remember, CJ Stroud was a top 5, 6 estimated quarterback going into the year. You have Herbert, Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers, Trevor Lawrence, Sam Darnold, Geno Smith, and then our boy Pitty Pat Mahomes. Guys, those are all people that are performing much better or better than that of CJ Stroud. So for me, John, I might be targeting to get a Geno Smith if I have CJ Stroud or something along those lines. You don't need to give up a lot. Maybe somebody's like, hey, with Nico Collins coming back, I want to do a 1-for-1. Great, cool. Because if you're thinking Geno Smith, guess who else is coming back? DK Metcalf. So be thinking of these things as you're looking to vet out a quarterback because it is a little bit more nuanced than a running back or a receiver. John, the other few is I mentioned Tank Dell and Nico Collins. Guys, I want to pause. Of course, Joe Mixon could be in there. You're not trading Joe Mixon. I think he's untouchable. You don't touch him. If you're going to touch him, you give him a pat on the ass and say, thank you for being on my team. That's about all the touching you're going to do with Joe Mixon, okay? Tank Dell and Nico Collins, hell yeah. Hell yeah. You're definitely sending those guys, especially Nico, right now, like currently, because if he comes back and right before the trade deadline and has a subpar game, value significantly drops. Floor's gone. So right now is where you can still, get a little bit of that magic that he had from the first 5-6 weeks where he was dominant. I mean, so dominant that, John, that was your boy. He felt your boy before the year started. And so, right, we kind of put our foot in our mouth a little bit, but good.
Yeah.
So use that value that was there and get you a super solid piece that can help your team down the stretch. That would be my call out.
I love it, man. I love it. All right, let's look at Cincinnati here. Cincinnati, they've got Tennessee on the road. They've got Cleveland and Denver. These are all going to be pretty tough. Solid defenses, especially against the pass here. What are you doing with these players? Who are you trying to move off the Bengals?
John, you could say Jamar. I'm not selling Jamar.
No way.
You could say Chase Brown. Honestly, at this point, I don't even think I'm selling Chase Brown unless it's for the right thing. But there's two guys. Number one, T. Higgins. Sell his ass. Sell, because it's going to be miserable. If you can get somebody to bite on him and then you package together something. I mean, John, at this point, man, I'm not even kidding. And this is kind of crazy to say. I would probably look to trade T. Higgins for Jacoby Myers. See if somebody could end up getting that through. Maybe they want to buy him and sit on him. Great. Get the headache off of your shoulders. The other man is Gesicki. If Gesicki ends up playing well this week, assuming T. Higgins doesn't, and he has a bona fide big-time game, sell Gesicki. It's only temporary. He's not that guy. And it's no disrespect to Gesicki. It's strictly because Higgins is not in. We've seen what happens when Higgins plays with Jamar, with that of Gesicki. And Gesicki's target share, receptions drop drastically. I mean, it is like a completely different person out there. And not even to say Tanner Hudson and others are also balling from the tight end position for that of the Bengals. So if you get an opportunity, sell Higgins and sell Gesicki if you can.
All right, let's take a look at the Thursday night football game here. Let's do a little Thursday night preview, baby. We got a good one here, Frankie.
Mm.
The 7-3 Washington Manders are going to be at the 7-2 Philadelphia Eagles. This is a big game in the NFC. Wow. All right, let's see. What are we doing here? Let's start with the Washington Commanders, man. What are we doing here? Who do you like? Who do you not like?
John, this is one of those matchups that's just like what we talked about with the Bengals and the Ravens. It is a match of juggernauts here, baby. And John, before we dive into what we're doing, what we're not doing, guys, if you're looking to place an incredible bet, right, we're thrilled to announce our partnership with BetStamp and Sign Up Expert, opening up an incredible opportunity for you to join some of our favorite, that's favorite, sportsbooks to get the best odds and new user offers. So what do you got to do? Head over to our dedicated page at signupexpert.com/frankly to explore a selection of sportsbooks tailored to your region, each with unique offerings. So if you're ready to take that sports betting to the next level, throw $20 in, get you a bonus bet back, and get ready for the playoffs. Don't forget, check out signing up your next sportsbook through Sign Up Expert link. You can find it easily in the description of the video, signupexpert.com/frankly. So, John, the Thursday night game, Washington, baby, you're firing up Jaden Daniels. I mean, geez, this dude has been amazing. Terry McLaurin, Scary Terry is indeed scary as hell now. And then, honestly, man, you're definitely firing up Zach Ertz. If you have Kate Otten, if you have Theo Johnson, if you have some of these guys that are on bye weeks, he's a perfect plug and play for this matchup. The other, we already mentioned it, man, is that you could look to Eckler if Brian Robinson is out. Now, again, if both are playing, you may need to go with one or the other. You may have to start Eckler. I might actually need to be in that boat for a 14-man league double flex. It's not great. You're going to need to temper expectations. You're really going to have to hope for some high receiving volume for Eckler and probably a touchdown for B-Rob in order for it to be anything worth of substance because of how good Philly's front is. But Philly, on the other hand, man, you're going to fire up Jalen Hurts. You're going to fire up A.J. Brown. Devonta Smith's a little banged up, man, you know? So if he is not playing, if he does not play for Thursday night, fire up Goddard as well. Goddard could be great. I know he's questionable and things like that. You're going to want to stay in touch with how that unfolds, but Goddard could be a phenomenal piece if Smitty doesn't play. And, of course, you're firing up Say, baby. I mean, if you're hurdling people going backwards, you don't even, I mean, geez, just, you know, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing. I'm looking at the show notes that we're looking at. And I just wanted to show everybody a little behind the scenes, exactly how Frankie's brain works here. Look, under Philly, it says fire up Hurts, Brown, Smitty, Say. I mean, Hurts, Brown, Smitty, Say. I mean, everybody knows what that means.
That's right. Just a little peek into the weird mind.
That's right. That'd be a great band name. Hurts, Brown, Smitty, Say, you know?
That could be the name of your boy band.
Or that'd be the worst law firm ever also. Hurts, Brown, Smitty, Say.
Hurts, Brown.
Who do you think takes this one, man?
Ooh, man, I'm going to go with the home team. I'm going to go with Philly.
This is for the top of the NFC East, right?
It's that close.
Yeah.
It's that close, man. I think it's literally like we're talking like this much, man. But I think it's going to be Philly inching them out.
All right, baby. Let's get to our hit it's and quit it's. Let's go. All right, Frankie. Let's talk here. Talk to me about your first hit it of the week. Who are we looking at?
John, my first hit it of the week is going to be Mr. the Riddler himself, and that of Calvin Ridley playing against that of the Minnesota Vikings. Guys, he's back. He's back. Are you kidding me? He hasn't had less than 8 targets in the last 5 weeks. Think about that. Mull that over. Enjoy with a little cup of tea. Okay? And over the last 3 weeks, he's had 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. Okay? In addition,
what happened? What is the common denominator? What happened 3 weeks ago? I'm trying to understand why he's getting so much volume and why he's doing so well.
It's almost like somebody was like shipped off to Kansas City or something. I don't know. Right?
Yep.
D-Hop's gone. Ridley's in. Fire him up. Guys, the other thing is Minnesota ranks as good as their defense has been, which has been phenomenal. They actually rank 30th against fantasy receivers this year, and that's according to CBS. Yeah, I'm citing my sources. What's up? Doesn't matter if it's Levis, doesn't matter if it's Mason Rudolph. Ridley is figuring it out with these guys. So for me, man, fire up Ridley. This is a great week for it.
All right. My first hit it is, I'm starting to love this team. They're so exciting. I'll be there maybe in 2 weeks. I'll be there recording for the podcast. I'm definitely going to have some Lions gear on, baby.
You have to.
Jamison Williams for the Detroit Lions versus Jacksonville. They're going to be at home in the Dome playing Jacksonville. All right, here's why I love him. He's back. He's back on the team. He had a nice big bomb in the last game here.
Yeah.
They're playing against Jacksonville. Jacksonville is 30th against the pass. 30th against the pass. I love it, man. They're giving up 261 pass yards per game. Love that. Give me some Jamison Williams. Sam Laporta, like I talked about in the news, is likely to be out. If he's out this week, that really opens up the field for Jamison Williams and gives him a lot more target share. His big play capability and the way that he can take the top off the defense and hit a home run on any given play, it will happen against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Chalk it up. Jamison Williams with a bomb touchdown against Jacksonville. Let's go.
Okay. Book that shit. All right, John, my number 2 hit it here is going to be a little bit of a risk. It's going to be a little risky here. I'm going to go with Davante Adams versus that of Indy.
Man.
Okay.
Oh, my butthole just puckered up a little bit when she just said that.
Awful. Right? Last 2 weeks alone, he's had double-digit targets. He's had 13 receptions in the last 2 weeks. He's had 122 yards and a touchdown. It's a week before bye week. So, again, could be a great get-right game for the Jets leading into the rest of the season. Maybe they really want to see what they have out of Aaron Rodgers, Davante Adams, Garrett Wilson, etc. So, for me, man, against Indy, we just saw, what Buffalo Bills have done to them and others. So, for me, man, I love Davante Adams against Indy this week.
All right, my number 2 hit it this week. I know Frankie said to sell him this week, and if you can do that, go ahead and do that. But I think he's going to be a great start this week. I think he's going to have a really strong game. It's Kareem Hunt for the Kansas City Chiefs at the Buffalo Bills. Kareem Hunt has had 5 touchdowns in the last 4 games before last week. 21 or more touches in each of the last 5 games. That's a volume monster, man. And guess what? I know the Bills are playing great and their defense is very strong, but they give up the second most fantasy points to running backs. The running back is who you want to play here against the Bills. So I know that Pacheco's coming back, but I think this is going to be an amazing week. We talked about him being a trade candidate for you. Watch Kareem Hunt, start him this week, watch him get his 21-plus touches and blow up this week. Then you trade his ass knowing that Pacheco's coming back really soon, and you ride right into the playoffs with a big old smile on your face, baby.
Love it, John. Gosh, Kareem is just so fun to watch. Shout out to you, Reem. John, I'm going to stay in the same game. I think this game is going to be full of fireworks, baby. I'm going to go, my third hit it is Khalil Shakur versus Kansas City. Guys, Keon Coleman, already out. Just so you know, he is already out for week 11. We just talked about Dalton Kincaid banged up, probably more than likely going to miss this week. Khalil Shakur and Amari Cooper. Is still not right. So, guys, this leaves Khalil Shakur in a tough matchup, and he can move all over the field. He's not just an X. He's not just a Y or a Z type of player. So, again, he could be high scoring. He's had, in the last 4 weeks, he's had 33 targets, 28 receptions. Guys, lock in Khalil Shakur as your flex, and let's ride.
All right. My final hit it of the week. This one's a risk. Frankie, it's not a typical podcast unless Johnny takes a risk. I don't like chalk. There's no chalk in these hands at this chalkboard over here. I take risks, baby, and I'll take the chance here. All right, I'm talking about starting Ricky Pearsall, rookie wide receiver for the 49ers, playing against Seattle this week. Hey, he just got his first NFL touchdown this past week, man, and the guy looks good. You want to talk about juice? This is a receiver with some juice, man. He flew down that damn field. Last week, he was 4 for 6, 73 yards and a touchdown. He was the wide receiver number 9 last week with 16 points in a half-point PPR league. He had 64% snap share. Now, I do see that going up a bit. He's going to start. I think he hit some more snaps for himself on the field by the way he looked. You've got no Brandon Ayuk. You can't only rely on Kittle and Debo. And Debo, to be perfectly honest with you, he's a guy who's catching the ball really at the line of scrimmage anymore. He's not really running any deep and mid routes. So I think that they're going to rely on Pearsall. They're going to suck everybody in with Kittle and with Debo and with McCaffrey now being a threat out there. I think it's going to open up down the sideline for Ricky Pearsall. So enjoy that, and let's see if we can get a big home run from him this week. Oh, and by the way, Seattle, they played 2 weeks ago. They played before their bye. They played the Rams. Cooper Kupp, last game he had with them there, 17 points. I'm not saying Ricky Pearsall's going to get that, but I'm saying Ricky Pearsall has a chance to get down the field and score for you. So let's go.
John, is it too soon to say roulette Ricky? Is it too soon to like do a little? I think it's kind of cool.
Roulette
right?
Ricky? Okay.
Ricky the roulette, Pearsall coming out like a shot out of a gun. Is that too far? That's too far. Ricky, you're a hell of a guy, and you play really well, and I love you.
You're going to have to work on that nickname, man. You're just going to have to
figure
work
it out.
Back to the drawing board, brother. Back to the drawing board.
Let's go to the quiz.
Come back to me next week with a better one. Yeah. All right, Frankie, who do you want to quit this week?
John, I'm quitting Xavier Worthy. We're still in this Kansas City game. I'm telling you to sell him. It's because it's been brutal, guys. After going for 16 targets in weeks 7 to 8, he had only 6 targets in the last 2 weeks with 1 reception. His stock is way, way down. And he seems to be dropping off with the emergence of D-Hop, and now Kelsey's coming back into the fold. And so, guys, for me, looking at this, it's like, you know, if you have him, you're sitting him and you're almost looking at him to do well so you can sell him, right? It's kind of complex type of situation happening. But for me, guys, sit him on the bench and plug in somebody else.
All right, my first quit it. I'm quitting Jordan Addison, the wide receiver for the Minnesota Vikings. After last week, they really had some struggles there. Sam Darnold has not looked super good, threw a bunch of picks in that game. They're at Tennessee. Tennessee is allowing the NFL's best 156 pass yards per game. That's tough, man. Yeah, that's not a lot of volume out there when you've got Justin Jefferson, who's going to be sucking up almost all of those 156 yards. And Hawkinson as well, yeah. He's had 36 or fewer receiving yards in 3 of the past 5 games. It's just kind of a boom-bust guy, and I don't think it's somebody you can rely on. He's only had 1 touchdown in the last 5 games as well. I'm sitting Jordan Addison, looking for better options this week.
John, my second quit it here, guys, is going to be Derek Carr versus Cleveland. And you might be thinking, Frank, no kidding. And guys, the reason that I'm saying this is because of the bye weeks, right? If you have Baker, you probably don't have Daniel Jones or Bryce Young, but right? Kyler, guys, there's going to be some of these other cats on the waiver wire. Stay clear of Derek Carr this week. Outside of the first 2 weeks, he's only had one other game where he's had 20 plus points, and it was last week. All of his receivers are banged up to hell. And again, he's playing against a Cleveland team who, again, Cleveland is a dumpster fire. However, asterisk, they are 12th against the pass, meaning very, very difficult. They've played very well from that perspective. So look for other options if you're looking to stream quarterbacks. Go away from Derek Carr.
All right, my last sit here. He was a hit for me 2 weeks ago, but it's all about matchups, baby, and it's all about situation. His situation has changed a bit. It's Tony Pollard running back for the Tennessee Titans. I'm staying in this Tennessee-Minnesota game. They're playing at home against Minnesota. Tony Pollard right now is the running back 20. Last week, he was 9 for 44 against the Chargers, a tough run defense. Minnesota is an excellent run defense. They're second ranked. They have the number 2 ranked rush defense. They're only allowing 79 yards per game. And you're like, hey, John, come on. If Tony Pollard gets 79 yards in a game, maybe he slips into the end zone. I'll take that all day long. You forgot about one little factor here, guys. It's not just the numbers. Tajay Spears did return last week. And I know it doesn't seem like a big deal, but it's back to a 50-50 snap share. Tajay Spears returned. Tony Pollard's snap percentage went from the high 80s to 54%. Wow. So that's what scares me. When you've got a healthy Tajay Spears with 50-50 snap share there, when they're only allowing 79 yards per game on average, I don't want my running back only getting half of that. So I am sitting Tony Pollard. Better days ahead for him coming up. All right, guys, that is the episode for the day. Thank you so much, Frankie. Great work on the trades and the upcoming schedules and the playoffs coming up. Guys, we're going to talk about some streaming options and things for next week. We're going to get into a lot of stuff, but thank you so much for joining us. We so appreciate your help. Please don't forget, follow us on social media. Frankly, Fantasy Football, we're everywhere, baby. We know you listen on Audible, on Audible, Jesus Christ. Yeah, we've got an audio book out, Frankly, Fantasy Football. Now, we know you all listen. Yes. We know you all listen on audio, but please watch the YouTube channel, guys. Watch the videos. They're fantastic. Frankly, Fantasy Football. Frankie, what do we have coming up, man?
Guys, you know what is coming. You know what I'm going to say. Check out Fridays with Frankie. It drops every single Friday. This one especially, right? We were able to tie in a lot of the stuff for A.J. Brown and things like that last week. This week, we're going to keep you plugged in with a lot of these questionable cats. So again, quick rundown, 1 minute. And then don't forget, Johnny mentioned it. Next week, week 12 episode, we are definitely hitting on who are some streaming QBs and some streaming Ds that you need to be able to look at to pick up that could be great for your playoff push as well. So tune in. This is going to be awesome, guys. Next week, and of course, this week's Fridays with Frankie.
That's right. And don't forget to support our sponsor. Get you guys some bonus bets. Go to signupexpert.com/frankly. Sign up for a new sportsbook that you don't have. Put a $20 bet in and give us some love, baby. Helps pay for all the software and everything. We love you. Come on. Send us your comments, your start sick questions. We're all over it. Frankie answers every single one of those and gives you great advice. I love you. Frankie, let's have a great week, brother. Fantasy gods smile upon you. Bye.